identified the need in the food industry in about 2004, and we started off developing some solutions for that industry which were specific for the customers. So we developed a product for the industry rather than from a customer, and that has meant that you've got one core system that can roll across different models and is supportable across different models. And that was a big breakthrough. As soon as we started to develop that, people realised then that it was a standard you could set for the industry.
In today's environment, is a challenging environment to which to operate. I think if you're going to be in business, food seems like a decent place to be. Cost, quality and service and being great at those are a prerequisite. But there's no doubt that in today's commercial environment, consumers are changing their buying habits, they're trading down, from more expensive items to cheaper items, as well as the consumer dynamic. We have the pressure of working with world-class retailers who are themselves under pressure to drive sales and margin, which is putting pressure, of course, on our whole supply relationship.
As a result of that focus on cost control, companies that were perhaps quite happy with their performance maybe a year or 2 years ago are now having to look towards their manufacturing performance to try and reduce control costs so that they can retain their profit margin at the same time as offering the retailers the discounts that they require in terms of promotional activity or in terms of ongoing price controls within the supply chain.
LINKFRESH identified as it happens because it's capturing the costs, it's capturing all of the operations, and it's highlighting it in terms of key performance indicators as it flows through. People can see what their productivity gains are as they move through. It reduces waste. It actually links the order intake with the production. That means that you don't overproduce. One of the curses of the industry is you overproduce to avoid shortages. If you're short, you get fined by the supermarkets.
Obviously within food, raw material prices fluctuate on a world basis really, and as a result of all of those fluctuations, again it can bring a very sharp focus into the food production area to maintain control over materials in particular, to ensure that the company is making a profit out of its activity and not just staying busy for no good reason.
It's very clear to me that to make sure that we stay ahead of our competition, standing still isn't really an option, because it does mean that you're caught up and can't survive in the current environment.
Does that team leader know how they're performing at this moment so that if there is a problem they can adjust it now and not wait until the end of the week or the end of the month or the end of the quarter to find out that we've been overusing our raw material?
The reality and where LINKFRESH helps is that it is targeted specifically at the challenges that the food industry meet on a day-to-day basis. So it follows their operating practices as they experience them all the way through the supply chain.
ERP allows you to react automatically to those fluctuations in orders which occur on a day-to-day basis.
Because of the way it's designed, it's easy to use. We've put a lot of sophistication behind it, but also given the users a system they can easily understand. And it's used by non-trained operatives. These are not IT people. These are people operating on the shop floor, and they take to the system after less than a day's training. And it makes a huge difference, because the acceptance is then from top to bottom. People then buy into what the system can yield, because it makes their life easier from a production viewpoint, but it makes traceability easier from a management viewpoint, and that includes not just product traceability but also profitability.
It's very easy in these times to say, we're going to cut back on certain projects, or IT projects, and a systems project's not going to add value, but you can be overly short-sighted in some of the big projects you're doing, and I guess you have to sit down in the cold light of day and evaluate what's going to really add value over the longer term. And we're very clear, particularly in our Shell business and potentially elsewhere, that this project with Anglia is something that's going to put us on a firmer footing as an organisation for many years ahead.